and welcome to On the Record News. It's Wednesday, the 25th of January. I'm Aru Call.
And I'm Claire Donahue. These are the stories we're following this week.
A new Omicron subvariant has made its way to Ontario. XBB.1.5, also known as Kraken, is the most transmissible variant yet. However, experts say this is not necessarily a reason to panic. Professor Emeritus Timothy Sly and Associate Professor Thomas Tenkate from the TMU School of Public Health acknowledge the variant's high rate of transmissibility, but also say that the increase in cases would have happened regardless of whether or not there was a new subvariant.
Consent Action Week is back with new events. Tomorrow at 6 p.m., join author Adrienne Marr and poet Kanisha Charles for a conversation about healing, pleasure, accountability, and building a world based on consent. The TMU community can also attend the Sexual Health and Pleasure Fair on the same day from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
The Toronto Board of Health passed a motion to keep warming centres open 24 hours a day in an effort to address the effects of cold weather on unhoused people. Councillors will vote on this measure at their next City Hall meeting in a couple of weeks. Visit ontherecord.ca for more of these stories.
The burn is something you may want to check out in the coming weeks, especially if you're feeling what many are calling post-pandemic trauma. The Burn is an interactive art installation commemorating the pandemic 3 years ago. There will be a ceremony for 24 hours, starting March 11th and running until March 12th. The art piece was created by artists Roger Mooking, Javid Jaw, and Wyandotte elder Catherine Tomorrow. OTR News reporter Lauren Stallone spoke with TMU students about their mental health journey following the COVID-19 pandemic.
We are here on the Toronto Metropolitan University campus talking to students about what healing has looked like for them following the pandemic.
Yeah, you couldn't really access resources during the pandemic, and also, basically your whole life was shut down for a few years. So, it definitely impacted.
Nothing very substantial, I wouldn't say. It was definitely an adjustment, given you're spending so much more time alone during the pandemic. That I found, for sure. But I feel like I adapted to it in a proper manner. So.
Yeah, I think it's hard for people to adjust and become comfortable with being by themselves, especially because we weren't able to see our friends because of the lockdown and stuff. So that was definitely a big challenge.
Definitely, I feel like both individual and societal identity has been affected for so many reasons. I think living in isolation has definitely impacted the way we go about our problems, the way that we talk to others around us. I think that as a society as well, coming back from something like a pandemic, personal space, how much we're able to divulge, feeling close or vulnerable to people has definitely been affected. So I lived in an apartment all by myself and didn't have roommates, so it was definitely me and my thoughts all the time. So it was definitely a little bit harder to deal with those sometimes.
That's something I'm trying to do at school, actually. I noticed, being alone so much during the pandemic, I found that I kind of lost a bit of my, I'm a very social person, very extroverted. I feel like I lost that a little bit after, during the pandemic, so now I'm trying to just kind of get out there more and meet more people, whether it be through work or through school, so.
Yeah, similar stuff, but, post-pandemic, definitely going a lot more hikes and stuff to just have those little conversations with people I haven't seen in a while.
I guess I'm sort of saying yes to more things, saying yes to going out with friends more, doing more in Toronto just because, I felt like I was locked away for so long that now I just want to take advantage of everything or even international opportunities.
Well, I definitely feel like it's important to give yourself some grace and some, space to be we went through this traumatizing thing, obviously. So giving yourself that willingness to realize that healing isn't a linear process. I think that as well, I see a therapist regularly, and just in general, I think everyone should go to therapy at some point or another in their life, and just taking some of the time out of therapy to talk about that, and to just remind yourself we've been a bit far out from when the pandemic has kind of stopped per se, affecting our lives in the same way that it was before. So sometimes you forget and you're like, oh yeah, like I feel this way maybe because of stuff that has happened during the pandemic. So
This is Lauren Stallone for On the Record.
Security measures increased on TMU campus about 2 weeks ago. Here is OTR reporter Joseph Kashara with the story.
So Alexandra and I have been looking into this, and we found that last year in March there was an incident at Kerr Hall where a student was sexually assaulted, and a second incident also in Kerr Hall in October. And with RTA staff, there was 3 members of the staff that were threatened over email. The school decided to implement some new safety measures. Those included security across campus at many of the entrances to buildings, and there has been an intercom placed at the RTA offices. When it comes to the intercom, Sean Haswell, a member of staff for the RTA, he says he personally requested that intercom to be installed because it is impossible to see through the door of the RTA offices. And he said he'd feel more comfortable being able to know who's on the other side. Decisions came after a safety audit was conducted in Kerr Hall, and here we are with these new guidelines, and they've also added a relationship with the Toronto Police Services. So police will be patrolling campus.
You mentioned something about staff, but do you have any opinions of students? With
the students, a 4th-year student said she does appreciate the new guidelines and the new safety measures. It makes her feel safe in some aspects, but she also says she feels concerned when there's a large group of security because it can be intimidating, she said. However, a student group here on campus, the Student Union, the president, Marina Gurgis, gave us a comment, and she said they're completely against this and they don't think police fixes the problem. Anne Marie's saying she's a professor here, as well as Professor Lael Schumann. They both gave the comment that they are completely against these new added measures.
Well, thank you so much for coming in, Joseph, and thank you for all your important work on this story.
Thanks.
And finally, looking for ways to get involved in and around campus? Here's reporter Deandra Asapokai with a roundup.
I'm Deandra Asapokai, and this is your weekly events update. The Sexual Health and Pleasure Community Fair will be held at the SLC Amphitheatre between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Thursday, January 26th. Check out local resources focused on sexual health and sexual violence supports within our community at the fair. The Names, Clans and Colors Potluck Feast will also be held on Thursday between 5 and 7 p.m. at POD 250 on Victoria Street. Join TMU in celebrating the receiving and gifting of spirit names, clans and colors. The Board Games Cafe events will be held on Monday, January 30th from 3 to 6 p.m. at the CPA Lounge in TRSM. Meet some of your classmates and upper year students while playing games at the Board Games Cafe. And lastly, OTR's own Luis Nahera will be in the Ven on Wednesday, February 1st from 11 a.m. to answer all your burning questions about photojournalism.
That was Deandra Asapokai with help from producer Karina Aranja.
The City of Toronto says the intersection of King Street West and University Avenue will be closed for approximately 2 weeks while crews work to repair a broken water main that caused heavy delays in the area over the weekend. Environment Canada is estimating 15 to 25 centimeters of snow today in the GTA, starting this afternoon and continuing till Thursday morning, so get home safe. That's it for today's show. For more stories from our OTR newsroom, please have a look at our website. That's ontherecordnews.ca. I'm Claire Donahue.
And I'm Aru Call. See you back here next Wednesday.